I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Carden, and this week I have just an incredible guest. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for you to hear from him. He is so brilliant and just such an awesome person. You are going to love him sharing his expertise. So Rodney Lawson, welcome to my show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Ann.
I am so excited to have you. Rodney comes with this incredible experience. So first of all, he is an executive sales leadership and team consultant. And he has worked all over the world, helping companies turn their teams around, increase sales by 35 to 75%. I mean, he has done some really amazing things. He is a world-class leader, a world-class coach, and he's a partner for success with companies. He has over 30 years in business, leading successful teams and building teams, and he drives performance. And who does not want that in the marketplace, right? Every company wants that. So he has led teams to have sales increases by 35 to 75%. He has helped them win more deals, and he builds superstar teams. So he's also a two-time author. I mean, oh my gosh, I could say so many great things about you. So I know you're going to bring the gold today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ann.
Yes, the honor is all mine. So Rodney, first of all, you've done just a lot of work internationally. You've worked all over the world, helping teams and building up leadership and just doing some really great things out there. What made you decide to come into your own consulting business?
Wow. Well, after spending 30 plus years in the corporate world, I would say probably 22, 23 as an executive, I felt like the development that I was giving from a leadership aspect was being limited, right? And I want to touch more individuals. And the only way that I could do that is by starting my own company and branching out so that I can take care of more individuals from a leadership perspective. Because I just feel like the basic fundamentals of leading people, the quality of leadership, I think it's gone down some. You know, especially with us as we are transitioning into this tough economy,
right?
Leaders are needed. And yes. if they're not the type that are willing to serve along with the proper principles, then the job becomes extremely, extremely stressful, difficult. And sometimes, people lose their jobs because of it.
Right. Well, the other thing, I think, we are in an employee's market. We're not in an employer's market. And so the days of you're grateful to have a job, those days are gone.
Yes.
Now it is, we get to choose whether or not there are opportunities everywhere. So people get to choose whether or not working for a company is the right thing. And I think that they're looking for a better quality of work. They're looking to be treated better. They are in the marketplace today. They're just not accepting the same things they did for years. People don't stay at companies for years and years anymore and think, oh, this is going to be my retirement. So companies have to rise up. They have to be better in the marketplace today, or they'll lose people. I'm sure you know that.
Well, and there's something in addition to that, Ann. It has to be what I call a happy marriage, right? The company has to have the right type of leadership, but they also have to attract, recruit, and develop the right type of employee. I'll give you an example. Most companies will look at resumes and they'll put it into a computer system and they'll spit out whether they have the proper qualifications for the job. Well, the problem with that is those qualifications, they don't tell you about that person's character. They don't tell you about that person's values. And so one of the things that I teach executives when they're going through the hiring process is that A, look for what that person's values are and make sure they're aligned with your company. Two, understand what their character is, okay? Then I would look at skill set and experience, okay? Because if you just continue to bring skill set and experience on board, your culture is not going to be as productive as what it could be. So it has to be a happy marriage between the right type of employee and the right type of leadership. And you can only do that as if you attract the right type of employee.
Absolutely. If you're not putting the right people on the seat on the bus, it doesn't work, right? I love that you're bringing that up. And it goes back to, I think, the old days of the way people hired. Things have changed. Business has evolved. And again, all these things that we're talking about, this has all changed in the marketplace. And you're right. There's a marriage that has to go on between the company and the people that are working for them. The other thing that I'm seeing out there in the business world as well is that companies have to invest back into their people. If they are not improving their skills, if they're not giving their people the skills to be successful and to feel successful, to feel fulfilled in their job, if they're not doing that, those people are going to leave at some point. And then this is where you get a lot of turnover, where sales go down, it hits their bottom line, all of these things that I know you help them fix. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. You touched on something. I developed a concept years ago. It's called the 33 and the third rule of leadership. And that's where you have to have an equal balance between how you motivate your people, how you develop your people, and how you hold your people accountable. As long as you have that balanced, right, you can come with as much weight. I call it weight, but it's actually focus. You can come with as much focus as possible and your people won't feel any pressure. In fact, they will be inspired by you because you're motivating them just as hard as you are holding them accountable. And you're developing them just as hard as you're motivating. And when you're balanced in those areas, wow, the sky is through the roof when it comes to performance. And that's one of the things that I do with my lead up method is I teach companies how to figure out where their deficiencies are in that 33 and the third model, right? And then I work with them in those particular areas. And sometimes it's just as simple as creating what type of intangible things can we develop from a motivational standpoint to inspire our staff? Because we may not have the finances in a tough economy, but we can find intangible ways to still motivate them so that we can equal that and balance that with how we're holding them accountable. This is how you get performance increase.
I love this. You know what? And we're going to talk about your lead up method too, Rodney. But one of the things I love about you is you are inspiring just when people are talking to you. You are the most, oh my gosh, just your energy is just so amazing. You're just somebody I can see why you've been so incredibly successful in business, in teams, because you just have that way about you, that energy about you, that people are just so drawn to you and they're motivated by you. And you're just a very inspiring person. I want you to know that.
So humble.
Yes, you really are. Any company they would be so fortunate and so blessed to get you to work in their company because, and I also know your background. I know what you have done in companies, and we're going to talk about some of those results, but let's dive into let's dive into your lead up method and tell us what lead up means. And then what are the areas or sort of the buckets that you work in and sort of the process that you work with companies.
Okay. So
or the way that you do, I should say.
It's okay. So as you stated, I partner with sales executives in helping them to uplift their profit margin, their sales, and just improve their overall culture of their environment. Okay. And then I have this program called the Lead Up Method. Now, it's a pillar of 4 items, right? LEAD is an acronym for locate, engage, accelerate, and drive. So first, the lead part, right? The locate under the lead, the L, is where I come in and I do an assessment. And this assessment is over a 30-day period. And I look at all different facets of your business. Now, there are usually 3 areas where you can impact your business in several ways: people, process, and technology. Okay. Now, when it comes to the people, gosh, I've done countless things and moved mountains where executives that were senior to me were surprised at the job I was able to do. And this, I'm talking about going into organizations that they were talking about sort of laying all the employees off.
Oh, wow.
And removing, that particular organization or closing the doors on that location. And I've gone into places like that and I've worked with the staff utilizing the same method, coming and doing an assessment, right? And I'm assessing everything. I'm assessing how you hire. I'm assessing how you recruit. I'm assessing your training programs. I'm assessing your coaching programs. I'm assessing your leadership. I'm assessing the entire culture. And then what I do after we locate from that assessment piece, then we move into the other areas, which are engagement. Okay. So now we show the management team how to engage with the employees and how to bring the right type of employees on board. Okay. Once we have that engagement piece solidified, then we move into what we call the accelerator piece.
Can I ask you something really quick about the engage piece? So how do you typically, so I get the assessment side of that. Are you assessing, are you having conversations with the employees, with the leaders? Are you going in and really talking to a lot of people and surveying, and you have all different types of tools?
I'm doing all of that.
All of it.
Yes.
Focus groups, things like that. Okay.
Yes. I'm talking to employees. I'm talking to management folks, but most importantly, I'm looking at observation with my eyes. See, a lot of times people listen with their ears. I listen with my eyes because if I see an environment, a group of people being led by a leader, I can tell you how strong that leader is in that environment. Right. Just through observation. And then when I look at the metrics will always correspond with what I see. That helps me to build a plan. See, some leaders just look at what they visually see. Some of them just look at the metrics. I look at both and I create a story. Okay. And in that story, I get to help them how to get to the end of the story, making it a positive ending.
I love that you're talking about this because one of the values of bringing in a consultant like yourself is you have that outside perception. You can see things that they cannot see because they're way too close to it.
Yes.
And there's so much value in that. So you come in and you have a system and a way that you're able to uncover the things that are holding back that company, even if they don't necessarily realize to the degree how they're being held back and the ways they're being held back. So I love that. And I think that right there is just massive value for any company that brings someone like yourself in. So then we have you said the E, which is engage. So with the engage piece of your lead up method, is this where you're coaching people, implementing tools and resources, training them? What is sort of your process with the engage piece?
Yes. After the assessment, we go in and from an engagement perspective, we look at probably the top 2 or 3 areas where we're going to have the greatest impact on their performance from a productivity standpoint, right? Sometimes it's working with the people. Sometimes it's working with the management team. Sometimes it's a combination. So it could be a number of those things. Sometimes, and it's as simple as setting up an effective meeting. Like a lot of leaders, I find, don't really understand how to set up an effective meeting. I always look at 3 things when I set my meetings up. Okay. Information, education, recognition, and motivation. So in every meeting that I set up and ran, it had those 4 pillars in it. And then the people came to expect these are the things that we're going to, we know we're going to get something educational that's going to develop us. We know we're going to get some type of information that's going to help us to understand what's going on next week in the office or what's going on next month. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we know that people are going to be recognized, and we know we're going to get inspired. Okay. So just something as simple as that formulates a different type of engagement with the employees.
I love that. Yeah, because people don't really care for meetings a lot of times because of the way they're run. And that really brings down morale. It really hurts the company culture. So because meetings have to happen, let's face it, it's part of it. But okay, so I love this. I love everything you're talking about. So what is the A in your lead up method?
Okay, the A is how we accelerate. Okay. And this is where we pull open a lot of the metrics and a lot of the processes. And we look at how can we accelerate performance by looking at certain processes. And it depends upon the environment, right? If it's an operational run environment, those metrics might be a little different. If it's a sales environment, those metrics are different. If it's a service environment, those metrics are different. Now, one of the reasons why I've experienced so much success in all of these different facets is because I first understood that the basic fundamentals of leadership doesn't change no matter where you go. The only thing that changes are the processes and the people. Okay.
Right.
So that's what we do. We go in and we look at those metrics, and we look at the processes, and we look at where can we have significant impacts. Because a lot of times in these sales organizations, you wouldn't believe how much red tape is in just the pipeline alone. Right.
Right.
So just by weeding out some of that red tape, we end up to a more faster sales cycle. So how can we get to the end of the sales cycle at a faster pace than what we're doing?
Shorten that sales cycle. That's right. I understand what you're saying, because I see that across channels as well. When I look at people's sales cycles and company sales cycles, I'm thinking, what are you like? Streamline that, right? So, but I see that also with coaches and consultants too. It's like streamline that. So I love this. I love what we're talking about. So, okay. So we've got the L, we've got the E, we've got, locate, we've got engage, accelerate, and then finally the D is drive performance.
Drive and performance. And that is just looking at everything from the front end to the back end. Most companies, when you think about it, they have a process where they recruit and interview. Then they have a process where they onboard and train. Then they have a process for the current employees, how they coach and develop them. And then there's a process of where they're looking at the metrics and looking at all of the financial numbers and making sure that they're in line and they coincide with the results, right? So having those 4 areas, right? This method is where we go in and we look at how can we drive every single area, right? We're going to accelerate it. We're going to do it fast from an acceleration standpoint. We're going to engage the people to make sure that they're in line and in sync with where we're going and what we're doing. And you put this whole package together, and there's no way on the face of this earth that you will not see at least a 35% increase in performance. And I got to tell you, at times, it's gone north of 200, 300%.
Oh, that's just amazing. Just being honest.
Yeah. Just by looking at these things and driving these things.
Right.
And the beauty of it, once you learn it, you have it up here.
Yeah.
And then you can always teach it over and over again. It becomes repetitious. And so that's how you create what I call a world-class organization.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And, you know, people might look at 35 to 75%, which is sort of your claim. And they might say, oh yeah, those numbers are not realistic, but you have proven those numbers. In fact, I know you, Rodney, and you're being very, conservative with those numbers because you just sort of let that slip. Sometimes it's several hundred percentages of increase. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And you've worked with so many different companies and organizations where you have proven this over and over again. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. So how can someone work with you? How can they get a hold of you? Because clearly you're an expert, you know what you're doing. You can make such an impact in a company. Oh my gosh, amazing. So how can they get a hold of you and reach you?
Well, the best place, I'm on all social media networks, and it's simple. My company is Rodney Lawson LLC. So I'm on Facebook, Rodney Lawson LLC. I'm on LinkedIn, Rodney Lawson LLC. I'm on Instagram, Rodney Lawson LLC. So you can reach out to me in any number of those ways, or you can email me directly, Rodney@RodneyLawson.com. If you're interested in working with me, I would love to come in and have a considerable impact in your environment and your performance.
Fantastic. So they can book a call with you and talk about that and see if it would be a right fit for their organization. And this has just been so great. You have shared such great information that companies need to see, they need to know. And again, you're truly an expert. I remember when I first talked to you, Rodney, and I said, be careful, they're going to want to hire you because, but you just have so much to bring to companies. And that is part of the reason why you started your business, is because you want to be able to help more organizations and more companies and not just work with one in particular. So I love it.
It's funny you mentioned that, Ann, because I want to say back in 2001, I started off consulting with the company offshore in South America. And after a 6-week sort of tour program, they called me back 2 months later and wanted to offer me a permanent position. And it happened to be a third world country. So I said, I can't move there. They actually commuted me from the Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. So for almost 2 years, I was going back and forth between the U.S. and this foreign country at creating this environment. Now, here's the interesting part. When I left that organization, they were down to 2 clients. They had 6 while I was there working with them. Then when I gave my final report, I said, look, I'm sorry, but you're going to end up losing all your clients because of, and I don't want to get into all of the details on why. But so we parted ways. And then 2 months later, they called me back. Now, within that time frame, after going there and taking a permanent position and flying back and forth and implementing different things, like job fairs, we were hiring people and hiring a management staff so that we could have a management structure in the country, right? That was key, because you can't keep relocating people and bringing people from the U.S. to a foreign country. You got to develop in-country staff, right? So I developed leaders there. We had 13 clients when I left that organization. So we went from 2 to 13 in about a year and a half. And the only reason I left is because they decided to sell the company. And so at that point, it was, I could stay on board or I could pursue other avenues. And I decided to pursue other avenues. So you are dead on when you say you go in and consult, I hire you. But because my passion right now is to touch more and to help more, that's why the entrepreneur way is the way to go for me.
Yes, I love it. I'm so grateful that you were on here with me and that you shared all of this expertise. I hope companies will see this. I hope organizations will see this and they'll reach out to you. And because they would be so crazy not to, quite honestly, because I know what you're capable of doing. So thank you. Thank you for being on here. And yeah, it is just my pleasure and my honor to have you here. So, Rodney, you're a rock star.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Until next time, thank you for being here. And make sure you reach out to Rodney. We will put all of his links in the show notes, so you'll be able to reach him multiple ways. And I thank you for being here. God bless you. Bye-bye. If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business, and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.